always feels like there's somebody coming over to me, moving really slowly. And I'm just absolutely frozen and I can't move and I can't do anything except watch them get closer to me.
And when you watch it get closer to you, what does it look like?
It's just a black shadow.
Hello? Something just ran in front of us down the road. We're in the ditch. We rolled over. There's two of us. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was big. It looked like a great big dog. Standing up. Oh my God. Hello?
The U.S. Navy has finally acknowledged that videos occurring to show UFOs flying through the air are real.
Just a globe of orange light that started just doing crazy moves.
You're looking through the window now and I don't see anything. I don't want to go outside. Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me. He's a big, real big person.
They're extra-dimensional beings. They are not what they claim to be.
Welcome to the EERIE Paranormal Podcast. I am your host, Miguel. If you've had any encounters or strange events happen to you in your life, or if you know anyone who's experienced some sort of strange supernatural experiences happen to them, and you would like to get a hold of me, you can do that by emailing me at EERIEParanormalTalk@gmail.com. That's EERIEParanormalTalk@gmail.com. You can also go to Facebook and like the podcast page. That's another way to get in touch with me. I always do my best to try to get back to you as soon as I can. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe and hit that post notification bell. That way you can get notifications when I release a new video. Thank you for tuning in and hope you enjoyed this chat. Now let's get into these terrifying and mind-bending experiences. Let's get into it. Okay, on this segment we have Kristy, and Kristy's going to bring us into her paranormal life and some of the experiences she had when she was younger. All right, Kristy, go ahead and give us a little background on yourself.
Well, my name's Kristy. I am 31 years old, single mother of two. I manage a hotel for a living, and I grew up in suburban Michigan. I was born in Detroit, and my family moved out to the suburbs north of Detroit when I was 3 years old. We actually moved into the house I grew up in on my third birthday. It's a quiet little area. The town is Sterling Heights. My parents' house is in a great spot. It's a wonderful by great crossroads. And when they bought it, it was right in front of a field, so we have no neighbors behind us. I was able to walk to school. It was just a nice little suburban town, and I don't live too far from there now.
Sounds like a nice little slice of heaven.
Oh, it was. It was fun growing up. It was a lot of fun there.
And Detroit has its own history, too, when it comes to a lot of odd, strange, supernatural things, given how old that the city is.
Absolutely. Detroit itself has a ton of different hauntings and paranormal things, and even it doesn't quite fit in that category, but all the weird stuff that happens there, it's not connected to the paranormal, but it has its own history as well, like Halloween Fright Night, that kind of stuff.
Right. So on this one experience you're going to talk about, is this something that happened when you were younger?
It was when I was, I want to say 10 or 11. Because I wasn't in the same room as my brother. I was in a separate bedroom. So it was right before, puberty and stuff was going to hit. And so I had to be around 10 or 11.
Okay, so before we get into that, let me ask you this real quick. 10 and 11. Mm-hmm. I have an 11-year-old, and he's pretty into watching YouTube videos that are about scary things. And obviously we didn't have YouTube when we were kids. So was it something that you were into when you were younger? Was it something that interested you? And did you ever look at books and stuff? What I'm trying to get at is it something that maybe influenced what happened to you in this experience that you're going to talk about?
Yes, I was sort of into it, but I don't think it affected it at all, because what I think it was has nothing to really do with the scary side. Well, kind of scary. But the books I was reading were more like V.C. Andrews, Flowers in the Attic, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, mystery stuff. So when I got older, I got into spookier stuff. But around that age, I was still like, we're talking Goosebumps, and well, Goosebumps is the beginning to horror. But Nancy Drew, V.C. Andrews, I was really big into mystery, that kind of strange stuff.
Okay, so just typical kid stuff.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I love them kind of books. What was it? Where the Sidewalk Ends, and what's the one that they made the movie of? Guillermo del Toro made the one with
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can
something in the
picture it,
attic,
but
right?
No, he didn't do Flowers in the Attic. Flowers in the Attic was a really sad, messed up story. But it wasn't scary.
I know what it is.
It was
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That's what it was.
Oh, that one. Yes, that one was terrifying.
Those books were scary when I was a kid.
Oh, they were horrifying. Did you ever read Goosebumps?
Some of them. My son was a really big fan of them when he was little, and I think he has like probably the entire collection. Given the Scholastic book, the book sales that they would have at school, he would always buy those things. He loved those. His favorite was the little dummy. What was his name?
Yes.
Slappy.
I don't remember his Slappy. Yes, Slappy. Yeah, my kids watched the series and they had the Are You Afraid of the Dark series growing up on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My kids love Goosebumps too.
Memories.
All right. It would be nice to be back in that age.
It would be. It would be. Just to relive it, even for just a day. It'd be great.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into your paranormal activity.
Absolutely. So this was when, like I said, 10 or 11. My parents moved me into the smaller bedroom in the house because my youngest brother had just been born. I was, turning into a young woman. And so it's a small room. It's an extremely small room. In order to give me more space, they bought me a loft bed. It had a nice desk underneath, and so I was kind of up high, and that bedroom faced the field. Now there are condos and stuff in the field. There's still some grass, but back then it was all grass, all woods. The woods were so thick, you couldn't drive a car up there. You couldn't get a bike back there. You'd have to go hiking. It was that much of a wooded area. So one night I'm sleeping in the loft and I'm woken up. I don't know if it was simultaneously, if it happened simultaneously, but there was a bright light shining through the window, and it encompassed like the entire room. It was more on the white side of light versus the yellow side of light, and it was this high-pitched, I want to say screech, but it wasn't. It was like a scream, but it was a mechanical scream. And so I'm woken up by this, and I'm just terrified. And I have to climb down from the loft while this bright searchlight is coming through my window. And I go out into the hallway, and next to my room is the bathroom. And as I run past the bathroom, it's like someone flipped a switch off, and everything stops at once. I wake up my parents. They didn't hear anything. They didn't see anything. They put me back to bed, but I was terrified the entire night, and I could not go back to sleep. It didn't happen again. And as far as I know, it has never happened again.
The mechanical sound is something that comes up a lot when it comes to a lot of the supernatural things that I've listened to. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the Skinwalker Ranch, but that was a big thing that a lot of people heard, was a type of mechanical sound. Even when it came to like hearing strange screaming or hearing strange voices, it was always a mechanical sound. And I know a lot of people don't believe in this stuff, and me bringing this up, when it comes to people encountering cryptid creatures out in woods, like like the Sasquatch or Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, or even Dogman, or even the Rake, there's some sort of association with the screams that these things let out, but they sometimes sound mechanical. Mm-hmm. It's very odd.
It was a weird noise. I don't picture much from my childhood. I don't have the type of brain where I can picture things. It's a small subset of humans do, or where they can't like see things. But that going back and remembering that night is the closest I get to actually seeing what I imagine. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
Okay, yeah, it's one of my most vivid childhood memories. I can still picture myself terrified out of my mind, climbing down off the loft, hoping that I could make it out of that room fast enough.
Did you have the paralyzing feeling? Sleep paralysis?
I did. I did not want to move. I had to fight myself out of it. I've had like real sleep paralysis a couple times in my life, but that was the first time. I think that was the first time that I actually did.
I know that most people experience sleep paralysis at least once in their lifetime, and to experience it multiple times is that's crazy.
Yeah, only 3 or 4 in my entire life, I think, but it's always horrifying. My all my nightmares are me moving really slow or not being able to move, so I think it's just the next level nightmares for me.
Do you think maybe you were having a nightmare?
Possibly with hallucinations, but it was so vivid. It was like somebody took a car and put it right outside my windows and the headlights were shining through.
The LED lights, like the super bright ones.
Yes. The like when you're driving down the road and a car comes the other way and you have to like turn your head because the lights are so bright.
The jerk comes up right behind you. I usually make my mirror turn towards back them so they can have a little piece of that.
Yes, but yeah, no, it looked exactly like that.
What do you think it was? In that time, in that mindset, when it happened to you, what were you thinking it was?
I didn't know. I was just overcome by terror. I knew it was something scary, and I had the feeling they were after me, whatever it was.
And by what did you think they were?
At the time, I didn't know, but it's been 20 years. I've thought a lot about it. I think it was aliens.
Okay, let me tell you this quick little story. Very similar, and the only reason I bring it up is because it reminded me when you told me about that bright light outside your window. One of my ex-girlfriends, we used to go and hang out at her dad's house, and her dad lived out in the middle of nowhere, like literally. Like he had one neighbor close to him, but like you would have to drive down a ways to get to the next house. And he was a very professional man, very he would kid around here and there, but his humor was very dry. So he never gave me the impression that he'd be the type of person that would believe in anything supernatural, paranormal, strange. And then I'm the type of person that always likes to try to bring out something weird about people, because most people that don't believe things will always be like, oh yeah, you believe that? Oh, there was this one time though. It always starts off like that. There was this one time. And I forgot what the conversation was, but he did bring up, because at his house he had a lot of property, and he had like a wooded area behind him. And then one night he told me, we were over there having dinner, I brought it out of him. He's like, oh yeah, this one weird thing happened where he said he woke up in the middle of the night to go to the kitchen and, I don't know, maybe grab a glass of milk or something. And as he's drinking, he's got these big windows behind his house, right? It's like you can see the entire backyard, which is pitch black at night because there's nothing out there. He says he sees what looks like one of those spotlights that would be out for like a sale on a like a holiday sale or something. But it was pointing down from the sky in the woods. And
my God.
Yeah, and that it would move side to side, almost like it was like if a helicopter was searching for something. But he's like, there's no way it could have been a helicopter, because it's like the beam of light was so big, it would have been the size of one of those lights used for promoting a sale at a store. Those things are way too big to be...
Those things are giant.
Yeah, to be placed underneath a helicopter or something like that. And then there was no noise. It was so silent. And he said that he just kept staring at it, and then, it just shut off. Like, it was gone. Whatever it was searching for something. And he didn't know that if it was him witnessing it that made them realize, or it realized that it was being watched, but it shut off and it disappeared.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I was like, wow. You know, I didn't get to probe him more, but I would love to ask. It's like, what did you think that was? He didn't say UFO or anything. He never mentioned UFO. That's how he was. He was just one of them day-to-day guys, you know. It was weird to hear him.
To be.
It was weird to hear him tell me that, being the type of person he is.
Well, I think everyone has some sort of weird experience.
Yeah.
They may not realize it, but there's always something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people do experience weird things, but they just put it off.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, our minds are made to come up with the most rational explanation for things. So, you know, when a book falls off a shelf and fell off way away from the shelf, you're just like, it must have bounced and landed over there.
I've seen, it's only happened a couple times, but I have seen like picture frames and like fly off the shelf.
I've witnessed some weird stuff. And I'll admit, I'll put it off. It was one of them. It becomes those things where it just happens so often. You're just like, okay, that was weird, and then you just go on with your day.
Exactly.
I mean, what am I supposed to do with that?
Well, when the both times when the picture frames flew off the shelf, one was like a week after my ex-mother-in-law died, and the other was like something else that related to it. I don't remember the exact circumstances. So we always like to joke that it was my ex-mother-in-law saying goodbye or letting us know she was watching us. I've heard a lot of stories like that say, oh, it's just grandpa, that kind of stuff.
And that certainly could be the case.
Mm-hmm.
I've had an experience one time where, you know, my grandmother, her and I had this very strong connection. And I think about her all the time. And she passed away in her 80s, late 80s. And she was one of the most strong women I've ever met. And we had a strong connection. I remember the day that she passed away. I felt it before I got the call. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
One day at work, I was struggling through a death of a really good friend. I was at work, and I was destroyed. I was in the worst mindset I could ever be in my life, and I was breaking down. And I remember at work where my station was, I put my sunglasses on because I just started tearing up. I was just destroyed, you know. And then I just had this overwhelming feeling of love. Like, it was like somebody came up from behind me and gave me the biggest hug ever. Like, one of those hugs you get that it's like, it tells you it's gonna be okay, you know? One of those, the most comforting thing I've ever felt in my life. And
that's crazy.
It's weird because I remember closing my eyes and all I could see was like a bright gold light with my eyes closed. It was like, that's what I imagined this thing that was trying to comfort me or soothe me was emanating. And it was weird. It was like whatever did that to me took away all the depression, and that dark energy that was just building up inside of me, and the negativity was gone. And I was just like, what was that? And
that was your grandma.
I think it was my grandmother. I really do. I want to think it was her. I mean, it could be anything. Who knows? It could be, I don't know. I can
It could have just been your endorphins rushing.
It could have, it could have been, you know, just something natural that happened. But
it's much more comforting to think that it's your grandma. We all want messages from the beyond.
I don't know about that. I don't know that it was my body's natural reaction to try to comfort myself. It was something. The mindset that I was in does not explain my body just completely over. Because I've gotten in some moods to where I'm completely down, and it never happens like that. It was weird. But yeah, you know, a lot of people experience things and they put them off, and it could be exactly what, you know, we're talking about.
And I've been around a lot of people that will actually, like we are right now, acknowledge it. My ex-boyfriend's mom, her dad passed away before I came in the picture, and this was when I was in high school, and they would find dimes everywhere. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, but they would say that it was my ex-boyfriend's mom's dad leaving dimes to let them know he's still thinking about them. And the whole family believed it. You hear stories like that all the time.
Absolutely. We had a friend of the family who passed away just before the COVID thing happened, and we went to his funeral. It was sad. We'd known the guy for a long time, and same thing. I guess him and his daughter had this thing where he would always buy her a coffee and bring it to her. And one day she went up to the coffee place that they usually get their coffee, and the order was already placed for her.
Oh,
it was the order
that's
that they always had. And she was just like, what?
Oh my God, that's sweet and creepy.
It is.
Odd.
I find it comforting, It's like I told my mom, it's like, if the day you go, you can come visit me anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
I won't be scared.
It's nice to think that the people that we love will still visit us, because I want to be able to visit the people that I love after I go.
Right. You might freak them out, though.
Well, I don't care. I'm a mean mom. I like to scare my kids.
I told my brother one time, I was like, when I go, I want to be cremated, mix me up in some paint, and airbrush me on a guitar. And he's like, well, who's going to have the guitar? I was like, you can have it at your place. He's like, you're not going to come and haunt my place, bro. I was like, I won't scare you, I promise.
That's a good way. I said, well, I've told people I've said several things. When I was younger, back when I was an angsty teen, I wanted to be cremated and then rolled in a joint.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was an angsty teen. But now I want to be under a tree so that my kids can come visit the tree.
Well, they have those things where they can place your body under a tree and you grow with it.
Yeah, no, I saw it on the internet, and that's what I want.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that's a good way to stick around.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, you're going to be going back into the earth anyways. Why not come back as a tree?
Exactly. Why not fertilize something? I have a tree in my backyard my great grandpa planted, but he's not buried under it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you got to be scary if you're a ghost.
Well, not to family. Maybe to other people. That'd be fun, torturing some of the people that mistreated you in life.
Yes, I have a list. I have a list of people I'll haunt. But you wanted my second story, right?
Yeah, let's get into that one.
All right, cool. So, I've never lived on my own up until my divorce. My ex-husband is an EMT, and he used to work for an ambulance company. We both did, but he used to work for an ambulance company that would do 24-hour shifts. So he'd be gone for 24 hours at a time. And I was always kind of terrified, scared to be on my own because I'd never been on my own. It was okay when I was in apartments. When we moved to the house, I was so scared I would sleep in the living room. And in the living room, I'd be woken up probably about once a week by a scratching on my front window. And every night, by the time I would work up the courage to go and open the window, there would be nothing there. And I was just scared to death. My brother would have to come stay with me. It was horrifying. So one night, months after this had begun, one night I wake up and I get to the window in time and I throw open the window and it's a cat just scratching on my glass, trying to antagonize my cats. And I did spray something and now it doesn't visit anymore, but it was absolutely terrifying. And I thought I was being haunted because even in the winter, I didn't see any footprints or anything. And I didn't think it was a person, but for months I thought I was haunted and it ended up being a cat.
Was it a black cat?
Black and white. It's really fat, and now I see it in my backyard some mornings. But yeah, I was terrified, and I swear I thought I was being haunted.
You might be, There's black magic out there. People can apparently transform into ravens and cats and hats.
That would be cool.
And bats.
I would love to do that.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you want to transform into an animal if you could?
No, I'd probably get eaten.
Depending on what animal you chose.
I'm sure that happens a lot, you know, when you hear something, and I used to be in a band, and when I was younger, and I wrote a song about that, about how something so terrifying could end up being something so insignificant that your mind completely fills in the blank in the most irrational way, you know?
Absolutely. It makes sense.
Because our mind usually when something traumatic happens, your mind tries to soothe yourself into thinking it was nothing more than just this, you know. And then when you find out what it really is, it's one of them things where you want to slap yourself in the face, you know.
Oh, I felt so dumb. Months of being terrified, and I felt so dumb.
Yeah, I get it.
Your body has a flight or fight response, and I read in a book once, I don't remember what book, and I don't know the exact quote, but it's our mind immediately, when we're scared, jumps back to flight or fight mode, but it also like brings out the scary in the woods, the dark in the trees. It makes things look worse than they actually are, so that we run.
I've had situations where that exact same thing that you just talked about happens. You know, how many times have we, as people, you know, watch TV in the dark and you think you see something out the corner of your eye and you swear you saw something. Like there's one time where I remember I was watching TV in the basement, you know, I was in high school, and, you know, the paranormal was the furthest thing from my mind. I'm focused on what I'm watching. And just from the lighting of the television, I see something peek out from the side of the couch. So I automatically like just start getting panicky, like, what was that? And then I freeze because I like don't want to move because I'm terrified. And then when you develop that courage to finally break free of your paralyzed fright, you know, like I'd run and flip the light switch on, like I'm trying to beat this thing to the light, like the light's gonna save me.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be something dumb, like, oh, it was my coat that I left on the floor, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But your mind completely just made that into something a lot more worse than it really was.
Like monsters in the closet when you're a kid.
Yeah. Or maybe I really did see something.
There could be something there, using the opportunity of having the jacket there to
Right.
peek on in.
Then again, you know, it's late at night, I'm watching something, and it's dark in a room, there's a little bit of lighting, and my mind is just playing games with me. And
Absolutely. And you could be half asleep as well.
yeah, that's true.
But I've had that happen where I'll think something walks by out of the corner of my eye, or something falls off a shelf in another room and I jump. I think all of us see stuff without realizing it. Some of it could be imagined, some of it could be misinterpreted, or some of it could be real.
Absolutely. So let's get back to your first experience when you saw the light. After that happened, did you end up researching and looking into what that could have been, and or did you get into the ET type subject and, you know, watching documentaries and listening to podcasts or reading books about the topic?
Honestly, no, because I am an absolute scaredy cat. Like, I can't even go to a haunted house or watch scary movies, which is messed up because I love Stephen King. But that stuff just scares me. And I know it sounds bad, but I'm always worried that if I look into it, more weird stuff will happen.
No, I get it. Yeah. Like you're going to invite it in.
Exactly. And, you know, I already get scared when things go bump in the dark, and I already can't go down in my basement after, you know, nightfall. So, so I got absolutely terrified.
It sounds like it gave you a form of PTSD.
You know, it may have. That was literally just thinking that, and it just occurred to me that event with, you know, my paranormal event might have led to my lifelong, you know, being a scaredy cat. Mm-hmm.
Did you experience any time loss?
Not that I know of, but I could have. So I wear glasses, and I'm extremely nearsighted. So I wouldn't have been able to tell you what the time on my alarm clock said. I left the room without my glasses. I was so scared. I couldn't see. Everything was a blur. So I can't tell you if I experienced any time loss.
Have you ever, okay, you said you've never really looked into anything ET-wise after this experience, but there are a lot of things associated with those kinds of experiences that people have when they see bright lights. You were paralyzed, and then you broke away from that paralyzation, and you ran to your parents, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't have any time loss. Did you ever check to see if you had any scars anywhere? Where I'm getting at is that usually when these things happen in ufology and abductee type situations, there's always some sort of like scar or something in a weird position. People end up having like these things where they can't be around electronics, street lights and stuff like that, and weird dreams. And any of that stuff happen to you?
The only thing I could consider being close to that would be the reoccurring, now that we've talked about it more, and I've really put more thought into this, the only thing close could be the reoccurring sleep paralysis episodes throughout my life. That's the only lasting impression. There was no scars, nothing weird, not a place other than the whole situation. But I've had those reoccurring sleep paralysis episodes and just really weird nightmares throughout my entire life.
Are they the same nightmare over and over?
No. They're just anxiety nightmares. They differ every time, but they make me feel the same terrified fear.
And all of that started after this experience?
Yes. I always thought that whatever I woke up in the middle of, I woke up before anything more could happen. I always felt like it was the beginning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was the beginning, and like I was running to get away.
Like you knew what the outcome was going to be, and you knew that you had the ability to stop that.
Yeah, it felt like, you ever have those dreams where you're like walking, but it's like through water?
No.
But yeah, like you're moving super slow motion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's what it felt like when I was climbing down from the loft and running. It felt like it took forever.
Like time was standing still.
Like I was slow. So it may have been time standing still, but I was moving at like a fourth or an eighth of the speed.
Where did you end up waking up after all this?
Well, I was in my bed. I woke up in my bed.
Woke up in your bed.
When everything stopped, I was just passing the bathroom doorway, which is about, I want to say, less than 10 feet from my bedroom door. Yeah, it's just a straight hallway. So it's like it all stopped and my ears started ringing after.
Okay, that's new. That's very significant.
Yeah, have you ever heard something super, super loud? I don't know, if you've ever heard something super, super loud and then suddenly all the noise stopped, that kind of ringing silence.
Like total silence? Like a loud silence.
It was a loud silence and an absolute silence. Like I said, it was like flipping a switch.
It does sound very strange. You went through all that, and then you're having these reoccurring dreams, and then you were facing sleep paralysis.
Yeah, sleep paralysis is super hard to work through if you've ever had to wake up through it.
Oh yeah, I've done it plenty of times. I mean, not as many times as you, but yeah, I've had to deal with it a few times in my life, and it's a very terrifying feeling. I don't like that sense of not being in control of myself.
Yes, same.
And There has to
then-
be a reason for it. It's not just like, oh, I had a nightmare. There has to be a reason why we go through this. Or is this just our body's natural defenses to something that, that terrifies us to the
Well,
point of maybe
correct me
having a
if
heart
I'm-
attack?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I read online that it's when you wake up. So when you go to sleep, you don't just flop around. Your body actually paralyzes
Right.
to a degree. And
So you
when
don't
we
act
ha-
out what you're dreaming.
yeah, so you don't act out what you're dreaming. And when you wake up and you wake up too soon, that is when sleep paralysis happens. If your mind wakes up before your body is ready to move again. And the worst part about sleep paralysis is the feeling that you're being watched and that something's coming closer to you.
I've never had that experience.
I have it every time.
So you do feel like you're being watched when you're sleeping?
When I have the sleep paralysis, yes.
Mm.
Yeah, it always feels like there's somebody coming over to me, moving really slowly. And I'm just absolutely frozen and I can't move and I can't do anything except watch them get closer to me.
And when you watch it get closer to you, what does it look like?
It's just a black shadow,
Oh,
a
so now-
tall black shadow.
Okay, so now we're getting into something else. You're getting into shadow beings.
Wonderful.
No, you'd be surprised. Most of the few podcasts that I've done, every single person has mentioned shadow beings. They seem to be a very common thing. And the only thing that they all had in common was the fact that it seemed like they really just wanted to terrify the crap out of people. And I believe it's for them to instill fear into them so they can feed off that energy. I think that's what these things are. And I've talked to somebody that I work with, and in his religion, these shadow entities, whether it be shadow beings or the Hat Man or all these other type of versions of it, seem to be what he told me with this guy at work. What he was telling me is that these things are called jinn, and jinn were a very similar type of being to us, but in certain religions they were outcasted and placed into another dimension / reality, and they apparently hate the human race because we replace them. So maybe they get their kicks out of coming into our reality or into our space and terrifying the crap out of us, because that's really all they can do. Most of these things always seem to want to just terrify somebody. It's almost like that's the only ability they have, is to just terrify us to the point to where they're satisfied and then they leave. Because it's always the same thing. I saw this guy came real close to me, scared the crap out of me, and then poof, he was gone. But he was darker than dark. Those are the descriptions I've gotten from everybody I've talked to.
I thought jinn were genies. Are we talking like
no,
Jinn?
They were turned into what Disney would, consider a genie. But
No. When I
it's-
say genie, I mean like the real version of genie. They're more evil, malevolent beings than what we see.
right,
on Disney.
Jinn is a genie,
Yeah, okay.
not like the Will Smith genie.
No. Like the real genie
Like,
in
yes.
in Eastern cultures.
Correct. The person I was talking to his culture is the Eastern culture.
Which has a awesome lore. Like, that's a weird way to put it, but they've got great stories.
Oh, it's terrifying. The things he was telling me. I mean, I did ask him if I can bring it up, and I guess this is a good time to bring it up. But he was telling me like his sister had a visitor that was a dark, shadowy being, and that it even got to the point where it touched her, like when she was sleeping, and they had to, in their religion, in their ways, bless the house, had somebody come over and bless the house and took care of it. But that it was like a temporary Band-Aid, and this thing kept coming back. It was just like, it had a thing for her. And, yeah, that's terrifying. Their folklore is very terrifying. But it does seem to match what everybody else is experiencing. In whatever religion you believe in, it always comes down to rebuking these things in the name of your God, and they go away. It's almost like they're only limited to doing certain things. But as soon as you name whatever God it is that you believe in, they're gone.
Well, belief is very powerful. I'm personally I'm not a religious person, but I think every religion, every real religion out there, and by real I mean old, like Christianity and I can't think of any others right off the top of my head, but no, Christianity, Judaism, they all have supernatural events that have happened. They all delve into the supernatural and the paranormal, and it can be explained by one way or another, but they've all got rituals. So I think that these beings, whatever you believe in, it's the power of the belief itself, not necessarily the religious figure that it's attached to.
Right. But I think essentially we're all talking about the same things. Just
Absolutely.
Different names, different stories. It would be... So, yeah, it would make sense that, if a Christian was to say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you, and vice versa with, whatever other religion has a Jesus Christ type character in it. But yeah, it does seem like these things are limited, and they do have a way to get rid of these things. And thank God for that, right?
Oh, absolutely. But I firmly think that it's the power of belief. And it's terrifying that all of these older religions, like you said, see the same thing, because it means what else is out there?
Right.
What is it that we aren't seeing that transcends cultural lines? And there's even the cultural specific things that happen, like in Ireland with the Fae and all that kind of stuff. That could be their version of shadow people.
Ooh, I love the Fae. I love the Fae folklore.
Oh, I love it. I'm a big fantasy nerd, so most of the Fae folklore I know, truthfully, is off of novels that probably don't have the right stuff, but it's always interesting and terrifying.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to the Fae in the woods. It's just like people disappear. It's like, wow, this stuff's still happening nowadays. I mean, there could be something to it. People get abducted and you never see them again, and it's been happening for centuries, since the beginning of time. It seems. It's like, wow.
And it all ties back from when we first started walking the earth.
Right.
They were the monsters in the trees, the monsters in the cave, and they're what created our fight or flight response, I believe.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
It's terrifying.
It really is. Kristy, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your experiences with us. This was really cool.
Oh, no problem at all. It was a blast.
And I hope that you don't experience anything else anymore.
Oh, God, neither do I.
Well, you make sure to take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you next time.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and please like, share, and subscribe, and click that post notification bell. And go to Facebook and like the page. Hope you enjoyed this segment, and stay tuned for the next segment. We'll see you next time. Peace.